Good morning. This is our January 20th non-action meeting. I'm Rick Hole from District Number 2.
I'm Vicki Rains, District Number 3. And Commissioner Miller is absent today.
May I have a motion to excuse her?
Sure, I'll make the motion.
Great, I'll second that. So Commissioner Miller is excused, enjoying some sunshine in the Caribbean.
May want to actually ask for a vote. For your second.
Call the question. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Sorry.
I figured with a motion and a second and only two people, it was assumed, but not one to make assumptions. Okay, so I've called the meeting to order. Any bids this morning?
No, there are
No bids. Any scheduled meetings, presentations?
no. We do not have any on the calendar this morning, Commissioner.
Well, since there's no scheduled meetings and presentations, I thought I might just take just a second and reflect on the fact that we had yesterday Martin Luther King Day off, and I just kind of thanked the county for that holiday. So I took the opportunity to read his speech of dreams. I don't know if you've read those lately. If you haven't, I would suggest that you do that. I don't want to appropriate his speech because I think the work that he talked about is still ongoing, but there was a couple of things that stuck out to me. He talked about islands of poverty, and I thought about, we don't really see it, but we have people lacking jobs in our community. We have homelessness. We have underhoused people. And then he talked about the tranquilizing drug of gradualism. And I thought that kind of encouraged me to think about, we don't need to just talk about these problems for eternity. We need to do what we can as a county to dig in and solve them. So I thought it was, his speech is very inspirational. Commissioner Rains, do you have dreams?
I do have things, sometimes nightmares, but I love Martin Luther King and all that he stood for. And he did bring us quite forward, move us quite forward. I was reading something about him yesterday as well, and he talked about, at the time he was speaking, how the world was changing and we were going to have to come together, and there was a lot of divide. And in a lot of ways it's sad because I think we have more of that today. I think it's gone in a different direction than what Reverend King spoke about, but I do think that we have lots of room for improvement on building a world that is accepting and respectful of everyone. And so, yeah, he was a great man.
I think that's very important in
He's a
today,
great man.
to not let bitterness divide us, but to work together.
Pretty good.
He talked about it being 5 years ago. He talked about, so that was in 63, in 1863, and I'm thinking it's 70 years since his speech, 3 plus 3. I'm not even sure everybody in the room was born. And I remember this.
I'm not.
I don't,
But it just goes.
I think just you and Sam. I don't think anyone else.
But
Georgia's younger than me. She was born in 68.
But to think that you're anchored. I mean, you can think about what was going on 70 years ago, so 50 years. It's pretty interesting. Came back to history and all the change we've seen since then.
Thank you for having read the entire speech.
It's a pretty good read. It's an amazing speech. He does a great job with his words. Okay, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. This is our first time for public comment. Anything on the agenda items or being considered at this meeting limited to 3 minutes. please type your comment in the chat box or raise your hand to be unmuted to speak.
No one in the other room and no one online.
Right, no public comments, so we're down to the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as distributed.
I'll second. Any discussion? I would like to call out the coroner report. I continue to be dismayed by the amount of suicides that we see in our county. I think that the lack of jobs and hopelessness. And I'm hoping that we can work to solve that. All those in favor say aye.
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 I,
Consent agenda is passed. Guess I should ask for any further discussion.
no, you're good. I was just gonna say regarding the coroner's report, he does a lot of really great work. And when he reported last week on the 2 unsolved cold cases that his office been able to solve, along with working with genetic genealogy, I think is fabulous. I do think that we have more than our fair share of overdoses and suicides, depending on how they're stated or determined. I served on the Forensics Investigations Council for the state, and it's very, very, very interesting. But one of the points that I wanted to make was I've been pleasantly surprised, if you could say that, about the suicide reports, that we're seeing less youth. And there was a period of time in the early 2000s, 2010, 2012 area where we saw a much greater, even 2015, 16, we saw a much greater uptick of youth suicide. So I think that there is progress being made there. I think that there is probably some relation to employment, those type of things, housing, living arrangements. I also think that there is just a tremendous amount of mental illness in the world, here and otherwise, whether that is addiction related, childhood trauma, adult onset trauma, it all comes together in trying to manage or treat those tentacles can be kind of challenging. But I was pleasantly surprised to not see the numbers that we saw in the last 15 years or so. So I think that's good.
Less youth.
Yes.
That is good. Okay. Those comments were down to the commissioners' items. Like to go first on there.
I'll make a motion on the action item to approve and e-sign the MOU regarding the dependent medical to be increased to $950 in the courthouse contract.
Second that motion.
I think it's important that we get to, I think the courthouse staff are deserving of that increase. And I think that it brings it to a level that is equitable to the roads contract, which we're trying to get to a point at. I also believe that as we continue to work towards a contract agreement, that this is a good step for the county.
Good step in the right direction. Any other discussion? Okay, it's moved and seconded that we approve and e-sign the MOU regarding dependent medical to be $950 in the courthouse contract. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Okay, authorize the county administrator to sign the settlement agreement.
So moved.
I'll second. Any discussion?
I don't have any comments.
Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Authorize a temporary increase to the Superior Court credit card daily limit from $2,500 to $3,500 through January 31st, 2026 to pay the Thompson Reuters Law Library annual subscription.
So moved.
I'll second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion approved.
Okay.
Commissioner Committee and Liaison Reports.
Bet. I just jotted down a few things. I don't know that I'll ever get to be as fancy as you of giving a formal written report, but I'm gonna muster through this. We've had some follow-up meetings on the Criminal Justice Center, discussing the interviews that were had, qualifications, and next steps. And we'll keep you posted as those move on. Thomas and I are going to be meeting with the city of Montesano soon to talk about next steps with them, so we can bring that forward to the commission. I had a couple of good meetings last week. The courthouse is Superior Court specifically is looking to put some monitors up in the courthouse on the second and third floor. Currently, they print out the docket for the day and then they post it with push pin on the bulletin board. The bulletin board that's there, the matching framing will stay the same. There will just be computer monitors or televisions that will be there. And so when they look at the stapled docket to the door, pin docket to the board, excuse me, they may get a case and they say they call Vicki Rains to come up and maybe I'm late. So they may move me to the bottom of the list that day. Well, nothing changes with that board. It just stays the same. And they do have the capabilities. I asked to add district court if district court wants to in the future. But what this will do, they can update it in real time. And it'll be like if when you're at the airport and you're looking at what carousel to go to for your luggage or if your flight's on time, that type of thing. And there'll just be a rolling monitor. The Superior Court has purchased all of the equipment for it. There was some, and including the monitors and worked with Central Services to get the program situated. I got to see it live. Sam got to see it live as well. And there was some question about installing the monitors on the where the bulletin boards are, that there might be an issue with the future application on making the courthouse a National Historic Registry facility. But we just did the remodel to the clerk's office and we're putting in boxes in every room to have the key system updated. So I think we can put these monitors up to help individuals. It'll also be helpful for those with ADA accessibility issues as well. So I'm really excited about that.
That would have to be true, otherwise you'd have to be printing all those dockets on parchment papers.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is that when there's a change, they recall somebody or they're gonna reset something. The sheets don't change. It's just there. So if you look at it and there's been obvious changes within the courtroom with the judges or whomever, they're only put up there one time a day. They're not reposted. So I think that this will be good for and transparent for the those that are having to come to the courthouse, and also for those that work in the courthouse to kind of see where things are. So I'm
I think
excited.
that would be amazing. Labor saving, not have to print all that up, not have to post it. Would you
And
guys agree? Oh,
I don't know if it's labor saving, because you still have to have somebody actually doing the processing. But we certainly have talked with Superior Court about adding that as well for District Court. Once we move over to the case management system, that should be doable.
that should be great.
Hmm.
I know it was since we stopped printing the schedules, because if something changed and somebody was going on an old schedule,
Yeah.
then it was just traumatic. You get production, you get the wrong labels, you get a
Yeah,
white grapefruit label on a green grape bottle or something like that.
I'm surprised where my son works, but yeah, because they've changed whatever process they're in.
Yeah, we changed the process.
They have all their stuff is scheduling items, not stuff, but all their scheduling things for him. And a lot of other places are doing this. Transit is doing it for routes, and you can time your routes on the buses and such. But all of his employment stuff is through an app that they use, so that they can see their schedule, they can see if something's changed, they can see if there's a note that says, can you come in early, can you stay late, those type of things. So I think that this is just one step for us to get with the 21st century.
Seems like a
Would you
good
agree?
step to me.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Next, I had a visit with Craig DeBlanco toward the new facility. They're not new facility. They're in the what used to be years ago the Seafirst Bank building, and then it was Bank of America, and then Caps had that building, and they've redone the entire inside. Have you been over there?
Not since.
Oh
the
my
Battle
gosh.
Walls, huh?
You need to go over there. They have from a back hallway, if you have a, just like we have here in the courthouse and other areas, the jail, et cetera, you might have a disgruntled individual. They can enter and exit from the back of the office. The client comes in from the front of the office. It's amazing. If you haven't gone down there, I would encourage you to go. But I took it. It's fabulous looking. And very welcoming, lots of room. In comparison to when I served on the board, I served prior to 2015 for 10 years. And they used to meet in the old Armory building where the museum was, and they would have a desk that you would go to, and that was basically their coordinated entry. Now there's rooms set aside. There's a room for housing or 2 rooms for housing, et cetera, and other needs that people have. Continue to have conversations to assist with the reopening of Cosmos Specialty Fibers. So I'm excited about that.
Did you go tour the on 6th Streets?
I did not go tour those, but I have. I skipped over that, didn't I? We didn't go tour them that day. When he said come for a tour, I thought he was showing me those type of things. Those are still in progress, but the ones on 6th Street, and then the 12, there are another units coming, and then they have 12 units over on South Aberdeen, 24 units, and then another 12 that are coming, and they should all be full and ready to go by late spring, early summer of this year. All will be available. And they are very much like and I know Commissioner Miller met with Craig last week as well. And I asked him if he would come and give a presentation to us for CAP, where they are, give us a report on 2025 and just an update. And he said he would for sure do that. That wasn't a problem. But when you look at the list of the units that they have, they're documented. So they have of this building and the other building, et cetera, in different locations. They have 4 apartments are for veterans, set aside for veterans. They have, and don't quote me on the numbers, 4 or 6. I'm just saying 4.
But some are allocated for particular
Therapeutic court.
uses. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
and then some are other market type that are more like housing essential needs. You can only pay for so many, and certain ones because of how they pay and what they pay. So he would be able to give you a good description on that. But it is there's I specifically remember the veterans, the therapeutic court, those that have issues that they're with the Connections, which used to be the Domestic Violence Center. What is Connections?
Children's advocacy.
Thank you. Children's Advocacy Center, which could have domestic violence issues in there and such, but it's a broad scope of how they'll be able to house people.
So we were hearing that we had all these housing units and yet they weren't full. And so part of it is they're not ready, but the other part of it, they're allocated for special housing. needs.
Specific needs, yeah.
Specific needs. So you
Yeah.
can't have them all full at all times.
Right, and they're bringing in the last segment or structure for those. It
Okay.
it was a really good meeting. I would encourage you to go, or anybody who's interested to go check it out. I started to say, I've had conversations with Cosmo Specialty Fiber regarding the Pulp Mill Cosmopolis. I think that the city could really benefit for that being functional and operational again, so I'll keep you posted on that. We had our transit meeting that all of us attended, and we awarded Mr. Nealon. He's the longest, most tenured person at the Grace Harbor Transit as the Employee of the Year, which was great. We had a Board of Health meeting, which actually went pretty well. Did some follow-up on some reconnaissance work there regarding the issues out at Lake Quinault Commissioner Hole. That's being taken care of. We had I had my behavioral health and behavioral administrative services organization meetings, and that's where I get some of the information regarding the suicide and the type of individuals that we are treating. We had our flood authority meeting last week, and we have some projects that are going to be done with the legislature, and talking with the legislature on additional funding and assistance on the lower basin in particular with regards to flooding impacts that we would have coming from projects being done in the upper basin. I can tell you that the new chair for that board, I served as the chair for about 15 years, and I said it was time to let someone else take the reins, no pun intended. And so the new chair is Edna Fund out of Lewis County, former commissioner, and she's the Lewis County rep for the flood authority, and the vice chair is Brian Shea with the city of Hoquiam. So
That's
yeah,
great.
very good.
So on that topic, I went to a meeting where they were showing, they were talking about whether or not they should be able to retention dam. And that was very informative. I'm in favor of that dam because it would lower, if we ever do get into catastrophic flooding, it would lower the level in Aberdeen and Hoquiam by about a foot, which if you look at Mount Vernon, they could have used an extra 2 or 3 feet. So I'm in favor of that. The comment period, I think, ends February 4th, so people can weigh in on that.
If you haven't seen, you can go to the Flood Authority website or the Chehalis Basin Strategy website and take a look at the flow through dam retention facility. A video of it that shows how it functions, how it is to operate. And for most of the time over the next, once it's built, 10, 15, 20 years, it will just flow through. You won't have any issues. During a flood event, there'll be 2 passages that continue to flow through. They'll hold water back and the others to keep the water from rushing down. It does a lot of damage to our rivers, not only property, but our riverbeds, causes erosion, etc. And then once the event is over, they can release that water. But you're right, it does reduce us by about a foot. And at Cosmopolis and Aberdeen, it's about 1.3 feet to 1.5. There's also the local alternative non-dam solutions, which I think are great. They're mainly levees and diking areas. And I think having non-dam alternatives is great. But from my perspective, if you're going to do the land alternatives, you need to do the retention facility, because the land alternatives actually raise the water in Grace Harbor County And so
That's problematic.
it is problematic. So if you only do the land alternatives, then we're gonna see more water in our riverbeds, on our property, on our farmland. And farmlands, they like, there's farmlands that need flooding. That's not a problem, but not this historical,
It's not quite so beneficial for cities.
no, not so much, not so much.
So it was interesting to me that all this rain that we had just recently, they wouldn't have engaged that dam. So they can predict well enough to know. So that I thought that was a huge rain event, but it wasn't catastrophic, obviously. We weren't in any danger in Hopeland and Aberdeen.
We
And
had-
so most of the time that dam will just be there in case that once in 50-year thing happens, and then that's going to keep us from being inundated. And I think keeping Aberdeen and Hopeland from being inundated is probably a multi-billion-dollar deal.
Well, I can tell you the 2007 storm, we had losses of property, commerce, etc., of just under $1 billion in the 2007 storm in our area. And the reason why I think we need the retention facility, and my opinion really doesn't matter, even though I serve on the Chehalis Basin Board and such, is I'm tasked with doing the governor's work. 3 governors now I've worked with on this, but we're tasked with doing this assignment and reporting back. But the river isn't our only issue. If you combine the river flooding that we had like in December versus what we had earlier in the month versus later in the month through the first of the year, it was more in a lot of ways less damaging. But we also have those king tides and tidal influence to battle that they don't have up in Centralia and Chehalis. So it's just
When they all hit together.
yeah. I want to wind up really quickly and let you know, I did KOSW radio on Friday, and then I had a meeting with Carol Jamos, I think is her name. She runs the North Beach Paws. They're looking for some funding for a large dog shelter. They have 3 cat rooms currently with 30 some kittens there. They have 8 kennels that they're currently housing 30 plus dogs in 8 kennels. They did just have 2 dogs, big dogs, Lucy and Blue, get adopted on Saturday. They are Caucasian Shepherd and Saint Bernards, humongous dogs. I saw them, their back came up to my waist. But really, really good dogs. But they've been there over 8 months just in the shelter. And so they need more room to be able to, they just picked up from a litter of 5 pit mix puppies that they have out there. And then they went in the day before on Thursday and took 4 dogs from Aberdeen Animal Shelter that were set to be euthanized in their no-kill shelter at North Beach Paws. So I'm going to see what I can do. They were misinformed, thinking that they could apply for 0.09 money. But I explained that that only goes to municipal, port, cities, etc. Other than that, I did have a nice visit with Hopeland Licensing on Friday afternoon. They may stop by today. And then I worked just over the weekend doing things. I did want to, it's not really my liaison report, but I did want to address an email that came in from District Court on Friday, if I could. I would say just put your request forward. Given the timing of the email and the holiday, we didn't really have a whole lot to respond, but I don't mind them on the action meeting. I would just make sure that Commissioner Hull and I touch base.
Kill me with walk-ons. We all know that, right?
But I read the email twice to make sure I understood it. And I think that they are with the district court administrator going to be out for a period of time. And the other two having to step up to that role, I think that's legitimate. Probation officer thing is, we gotta get that filled, doesn't have a whole lot of, there's not a lot of issues there. Sam, did you read the email?
Yeah, and there was a discussion item for today.
I understand their discussion items for today, however, there's nothing with them in our agenda for them
Oh,
today.
I got you.
Okay, anyway, I just wanted to voice my opinion during my report time.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
So you put it. Well, I'll just quickly step through this report.
Are these your sheet?
Yes,
And what are their names?
Surprise.
surprise. You doesn't have a name that suits a market you.
So.
No, last year he had, what'd you get? 4 or 5 that were surprises?
Yeah.
Yeah, very active, very young ram.
I'm still trying to get the fences completely hit on.
For those of you that can't see.
But anyway, That was last, not first. I think it's really appropriate to talk about the payroll process. Thomas been doing a great job documenting the process. We had a meeting where a lot of the payroll people came together, and I thought that we've identified like 40 improvement opportunities.
43.
How many?
43.
43. But I think I just want to call out the process. I think it's wonderful that the organization is seeing the need and coming together and talking about what the appropriate changes should be. And I think that if we can continue that process, we have a lot of other problems to work on, not just payroll. And I think it's just great. And I appreciate Thomas's leadership in that. I want to talk about organizational readiness. During the flood, can you get to the pictures? Right there. The facilities group had been working on the juvenile detention center and putting a revetment along the river, like for years. I mean, when George and I first came on, Mark was talking to us about that and getting that project ready. And then when the rains came and the flood waters were coming up and we declared that emergency, the Corps was able to move in at that point while the waters were rising. They told me they could only be doing this while the waters were rising. And they
gave
came
them
in
an emergency outlet to be able to come in, yeah.
and they got that work done. And this is what it looks like today. And I didn't ever get the bid, but it had to be close to a couple of $100,000 project
I
At
think-
least.
I
to
think-
do all that. And
I
the
think they paid for it.
Yes.
I don't think we got a bid.
That's right. Well, we had bid it. It was all ready to go. And then the Corps was able to do it. And I just wanted to congratulate the organization for that readiness. And I think that also at the fair, when we got rid of that flooding by fixing the sump pump, it just shows organizational readiness. I think that that's something that we need to be talking
Not only
about.
that, but the wherewithal of Jaime Gomez Beltran to do that.
So just congratulations to the team for that.
Thank you.
I was able to give swear in the new commissioners at the South Beach Park District, which was kind of fun. The commissioners get to do that and the county, I mean. But while I was there, Mark Cox, we've talked about that Parks District having some extra property there. And we talked about having the county participate with an RV park. The citizens aren't really interested in an RV park, but they have some parcels that they would like to do housing on. And I'm bringing that to our group, so maybe we can get a legal opinion and think about, can the districts provide housing? They have the land, and I know we're doing it, Mike McNichols, I know we're doing it with Neighborhood Works, which is an NGO. and our park district's good. They have this big hall that they have to support, the Grayland Hall, and it's a beautiful historic building. And it takes them about $5,000 to $6,000 a year to, and there's a lack of housing during the tourist season for people who are working in the restaurants and stuff like that. And it just seemed to me like it would be a great fit. Because they would take care of the housing. And they would have that to support their district, so. I don't know if things like that could work around our community. Aberdeen Rotary had Student of the Month, and one of those kids wants to be a prosecutor, one wants to be a doctor, and I'm thinking, well, how do we get him to want to be in Grays Harbor? They both wanted to come back here. And I'm thinking that we should really be investigating an intern program for our youth, of the people who work in the county, their children, and others, so that we can show them, what it's like to participate in business, and so that they're not sitting on the couch. Because we have the 24 to 54-year-olds, the highest percentage of people. Maybe we can use the recompete funds for internships. And I know people like, I think I've mentioned this before, like our Grays Harbor Foundation has money for students, and there's more money than students. And I'm wondering if, I'll actually talk to them about some of that funding for internships.
If that
Because
was the
it's
plan, that would be great.
it's part of the, it's part of the step. You go from high school, you want to learn about jobs and go into the workforce, right?
The other would be to talk to Carly Schiffner at the college about that. I can tell you, I haven't spoken with Prosecutor Stearns about this, but I did speak with the two prior prosecutors about doing internships. And I think that a good ask would be to Mike McNichol on the, we do employ nurses, et cetera, but at least get you a feel for the medical field of doing internships. And the issue that we've ran into before is that most students going to school and such, they need a paid internship
Right.
in order to do the work. So, and we have plenty of prosecutor positions or availability, not for they could intern at district court, they could intern at Superior Court, juvenile, there's lots of things that we could do with those internships. It's just being able to pay them for their time more than what we pay, like someone that works this summer at doing the concession stands at the fairgrounds. I think you're gonna have to be ready to pay them more than that.
We might have to get creative. Maybe there's some recompete money that.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, into that, maybe there's some scholarship money, but yes, people do want to be paid.
So those are already available, so in the law, on the law side, Illinois, we've had interns in the prosecutor's office. We've had interns, what's that?
People who are actually in.
Law school interns, right, and then we also had interns, right, we also had interns at public health, it's one of the agenda items as well. So we have these spots where internship does occur, but we don't, what we need, I think what you're talking about is a countywide internship program of some.
Maybe a policy.
Yeah.
And, we don't want to put a square peg in a round hole, but if there's need,
Yeah.
if people can see how they can use, beneficially, not just having them hanging around. At Ocean Spray, we had summer interns.
Yeah.
And it was, it worked out very well.
I was an intern as well, and I've had many interns and it works out really well.
I think if you have a conversation with Eric Potts at Grays Harbor Community Foundation, that would be, and the college, that would be great, because we can develop a policy that allows us to hire them, but I think they probably have a little bit more knowledge and background in doing that, setting it up than what we do. And if they can go through their entity and then come to us as an employee or as an intern, great.
We'll have to be creative on how that would all work. But it was conversation with Eric that I found out that there was when people bequeath, they put up specific parameters that people have to qualify to get those scholarships, and there's money sitting there that goes unused. And then on that also, I know people get to participate in the business weeks. I know they have them in Aberdeen, and so that's coming up in the spring. Lynn Green is looking for volunteers to do that. We received a letter from a citizen that is not in a fire district. I didn't even know that it really existed, but I said that I get back to her to try to outline what her options are.
Where does she live?
Well, she happens to be out in Nisqually. Not Nisqually, I'm scared. Nooska. I'm sorry, it's Nisqually. If you're trying to say like, there's the way. Yeah. No wonder I found it.
Yeah, that is an issue out there. We had a similar issue, Rick, with that area when former Commissioner Pine wanted to put a homeless housing unit out there. If you remember, Wendy probably remembers that. And the issue that we ran into is it is DNR land. So DNR has to respond to that area out there. I'm not sure about where this person lives, but
DNR would respond to fires. What?
They would respond to their own fires in their area.
Do they have fire trucks readily available?
Oh, they got hot shots.
Yeah, the other thing too is we had this conversation regarding the unhoused issue, and Aberdeen only responds out so far, and then the South Beach Regional Fire Authority only responds in so far. And that thing is, they're absolutely correct. I don't know what the options are. And the same goes for law enforcement. The sheriff would obviously respond, but to that discussion, when we were talking about people that were unhoused, it wasn't neither the sheriff nor Aberdeen Fire was going to transport people to and from that facility.
So I guess there's some places up by the college on Evans Street and stuff like that, that the county owns the property, and so it's outside the city of Aberdeen. And those aren't in the fire district either. So what's happening is the city of Aberdeen or the fire district is making us more aware of areas that they're presumed to cover, but they're not legally bound to cover. And so the letter says something like, if you had a fire, we wouldn't have to respond unless there's somebody trapped in the building or something like that, which is kind of scary.
Who was saying that?
The fire department sent out letters to property owners, all property owners outside of the city limits that are.
Aberdeen did?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
So essentially everyone.
So since they're not in the city, they're in the county, so we
Can
probably have a
you
little.
forward that?
Yes.
I don't
Oh, yes.
think
I didn't get that.
either that or I didn't read it. Which,
That's all right. I got it from the lady that made me aware of it, so it might not have got forwarded around. I'll forward that
okay,
to you.
okay,
Just get her.
yeah, that's good.
And maybe we could let them know what their options are. That's all I'm looking for. I doubt if there's anything that's, well, I don't know what the options are.
Learn anything that we can do other than, kind of be a conduit with the fire districts out there, but it would be the South Beach Regional Fire Authority that would respond.
We'd have to, I mean, I don't know, how do they expand their boundaries?
Annex?
Through the annexation.
So that the fire district could annex them?
Yeah, so behind Wendy's the fire district map.
If they feel that they can respond, that may be the issue, Rick, is that their response time might be fairly delayed. It's one of the reasons why I think on the riverside, I want to say Aberdeen responds out to the Bishop complex and not beyond that.
Right.
So, I
That
don't
would be in
see
the city. And then,
No, it's not in the city.
The city limit goes all the way to the Bishop.
Oh, it
Complex,
does?
on that side of the highway.
Not the
Not
other
It's,
side.
But it doesn't
it's south
fall.
far closer to town on the left hand
Who would
side.
know?
And the fire department, did say to me that they would respond if there was, life threatening inside the structure, but not necessarily to save the structure. So if the house is on fire empty, they may not respond.
oh,
And who knows what's gonna happen now, cause I saw that they were going to increase their EMS fees, and then now they've pulled that back temporarily, so they may have some changes there too.
The assistant fire chief stated specifically it does not affect EMS. EMS it's just fire protection. The letter.
I'm almost positive we had this conversation and they wrote us a letter when we were talking about that homeless housing building that Emmer owned.
Possibly. This, I'm.
It's a perennial issue.
Yeah.
well, it seems like everybody in the county should
Be protected.
have fire protection and not have to fear that unless there's somebody trapped in your house, we're gonna let it burn.
Well, it affects their insurance, home insurance as well.
So I guess
And
that's,
the ability to finance it.
sorry. Yeah. I guess lastly, I did participate with the Grace Harbor Greater Grace Harbor legislative meeting. There's some real concerns about what the state's going to do to close the revenue gap, I guess, so that's something to watch closely. Most of us would agree that we're probably taxed enough. And then Senator Wilson is actually running a bill. We talk about salmon, enough salmon coming up. We can't do the damn PL because that's gonna affect salmon, and we have all these sea lions who are not native to Grace Harbor out there. And he's running a bill. He needs $300,000 to get the equipment. I guess it's legal that we could actually remove those sea lions, but it's lacking funding. So that would be something that I would be in favor of, being one that wants to see more salmon for human use. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Great.
Just a heads up. Mark Sigler posted in the chat that he's happy to update anyone on the fire district issues.
Okay, great.
Moving down our list, we have authorization for volunteer position as a policy and procedure analyst.
We'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We like volunteers with experience.
Any further discussion? We just discussed these, we don't. Vote on this one. On here.
No, these are all were submitted as discussion items, but that's not to say that you can't take action on them. I don't have action for you in the number 4. It's purely discussion.
So there's no document.
So just move them for action next.
Yeah, we'll just move for action for next week.
I'll withdraw my motion.
So then we have a resolution rescinding resolution 2024-040. You change the allocation proceeds from the sale of timber. I think that will allow us to have.
I was gonna ask, did someone meet with the forester regarding the changes? Number one, and is there any impacts to other entities that receive some of the funding off of that, like schools?
No, this is just internal.
Or portion that we receive
Right.
only,
Right.
so everything else is disseminated,
Right.
disseminated.
I don't think we can actually grab those funds
Not yet.
from those other entities.
Don't say that.
Legislature.
I wouldn't be open to grab those funds.
I wouldn't either. Okay,
Okay, so we'll move that to next week. Clerk of the board, agenda item updates. Move those for next week.
Yeah, I actually just want to discuss them so that you guys know what's forthcoming.
Okay.
Because one item is actually coming forward next week, as long as I can finalize it. I've heard back, this is the 2026 commissioner representations. I've heard back from Commissioner Rains only at this point. I don't believe that there's any other changes to it. I've automatically assigned the chair assignments to Commissioner Miller. And she has expressed that she's not interested on taking on any additional assignments besides those 3. So unless there's any other changes, I will finalize and prepare that for adoption next Tuesday on the 27th.
I would also like to remove the liaison assignments as well, so that we can have the be able to go and talk to the other electeds as we so choose.
Okay, so would you, so we just like take action to, because they're assigned just through board action. So I guess we would just take action to assign all electeds to all electeds, or remove
not
these.
have them.
This not,
Just not have them.
do we need
no
to
action.
remove it from the record? It still exists unless superseded or.
Yeah,
rescinded.
we'd have to take an action to say,
To rescind it? Is it in a resolution form?
It's not, but it's published and it's posted.
And when we posted it, did we say it was for 2025?
I don't think so. It's written in the rules that it'll be revisited on an annual basis. So it was approved on January 7th. So we would have to revise the rules to remove it from being
January 7th of last year.
Yeah, 2025.
correct. So it's referencing the rules of procedure, and then there's this document that was adopted on January 7th.
So a motion could be, and Mr. Stearns, correct me here, to no longer have liaison assignment, and then in the future, revise the rules of procedure to reflect that.
Yes, okay, perfect.
Or you could post your list and say none.
Yes, that's another way.
Yeah, because there's still the county administrator assignments through this
Right.
function,
But-
so
But he's not only a liaison to the other electeds. That's what I'm talking about.
no, I understand.
And I don't know that we need the list for his assignments. Those used to come under us when we divide them before having a county administrator. And I
Mhm.
think that it's in his job description that those
Yes.
department heads would report to him anyway.
It's moved at this point.
I will include that with the committee assignments for next week.
Thank you.
The next item is a revision to the position control list. When it was adopted in December, it was anticipated that we would need to do a revision relatively quickly. It's not quite ready yet. There's revisions that have come in are a few hiring dates. There was some step increases that weren't reflected in the revision adopted in December, and a few title inaccuracies. Once I receive those from departments, I'm vetting them through HR and payroll. And I expect that they will be ready for adoption around the 10th of February, or at least a revision. The next update following that will align with the first quarter budget update, which I anticipate will be in April sometime.
It's great work.
Yes, good job. So we're not gonna act on the revision of the position control? next
It's
week?
not gonna be ready for the 27th, because there's a few things that still need to be revisited, plus we need to verify off of, there are some action items that are presented this week for discussion that could affect the position control list, so I wanna make sure that that action is solidified and that those changes are adopted along with the
Good
revision.
news is that it's being kept updated, it's not obsolete, because the moment you publish a PCL, it's obsolete.
Correct, and it is updated in real time. I'm keeping track of the actual date revisions are applied so that we know when they've come in. So there's a good paper trail.
So we'll have to have it on the screen on.
On a reader board. Scrolling.
The third and final item that I wanted to discuss is the 2026 certification of 2025 capital assets inventory. The deadline for submitting the inventory certifications to the auditor's office was December 31st. And our target certification date was January 31st. Currently, we only have 22 of the 44 funds that have submitted their inventory by deadline. although I do anticipate another 10 to be submitted by the end of this week. I will be announcing the outstanding funds at next week's meeting to encourage submission. Hopefully we will have that brought forward on February 10th as well, maybe even the 3rd.
Have everybody been given heads ups so that they're aware that it'll be publicly announced?
Before it's publicly
Yeah.
announced, they will be aware.
Okay, good, thank you.
I'm working my way through the
Let me
list.
know if I have any of those.
Yeah, I've got quite a few people that just needed friendly reminders,
Thank you.
so,
So it was supposed to be done by 12/31,
correct.
and then are we understanding why it wasn't done by 12/31?
We've been slowly bringing it in closer to the deadlines over the last couple of years, but we've seen some serious improvement in the last 2 years, so I'm happy that we're.
Baby steps.
Priorities.
Yeah. This
The progress.
Is that an internal line deadline, or is that a state requested deadline?
we're required by statute to and
So it's
policy. to do this.
statutorily required by 12/31.
No, we're required by policy to meet our own deadlines. We're required by statute to certify the inventory.
Okay.
But what's I think the question is, what's the state's deadline, statutory deadline?
I don't know that we report our.
I don't know that off the top of my head, I'm sorry.
I don't know.
I'm just curious, as we've had some issues around deadlines and audits and
Mhm.
things.
Yeah.
And I just don't want to be surprised
Yeah.
if
Well,
we're not meeting our deadline.
I think it's a line item on the audit, but I don't quote me on that, but I can definitely follow up.
But if it's our own deadline, we should be able to meet it, right? Is the point here,
Mhm.
right?
I don't disagree. And thank you, commissioners, that's all I have.
Okay, so now we're on to department discussion items, district court.
No.
Agenda items for review, authorization to hire probation officer position due to vacancy in 12/31/25, and authorization to hire legal process assistants office clerk due to vacancy.
I don't have any issue with them going to the action meeting, as long as all supporting documentations for the room.
Okay. Either, and then there's the discussion item. District court out of class pay.
Would you like to?
Absolutely. So I know it could be a little confusing with the titles in any office, if it's not the office that you work in. So have a little chart that might help just for referencing who individuals are. But we wanted to put this before the board to see if you wanted to take action. I do appreciate Commissioner Rains your time reading that email. I know it was too long. I just was trying to make sure I put everything in there. As I explained, our board administrator, who is the person directly responsible for operations of District Court 1 and District Court 2, she's supervised by the judges, is on unexpectedly unextended protective leave. So we have 3 people in our office that have all stepped up to divide up those tasks. They've been helping with those tasks for quite a while, but they've now fully assumed all of those tasks while the court administrator is on leave. So that's our criminal deputy administrator, Linda, civil deputy administrator Heather, and then our probation therapeutic court director, Diana. So Diana is on Zoom. She is also taking care of all of the duties of probation officer while we have to get that probation officer position full that was just vacated at the beginning of January. And then between these 3 individuals, they've divided up the responsibilities. Heather is the acting court administrator, just making sure we have one point of contact for anybody needing a court administrator to get a hold of. She's also, we have to designate that with the administrative office of the courts for the state. If our court administrator is not available, who is the second that you go to? And Heather is that individual. So the salary of our employees is entirely at your discretion. It is not something that we make that decision. I just felt that as the employer of these individuals with their new duties, I wanted to make sure the board is aware of that and put that before you. We do have a placeholder, if you will, on the action agenda. If you wish to take action regarding that next week, we can provide any and all information. But it is up to you if you would want to do that or not.
I have a couple questions. Do you have any frame of reference for the length of the protected leave?
At this time, we've been told March 1st. That can change, but that is the date which we did get a letter,
Okay.
and that was beginning on January 8th.
This is a hard one for me just because of where we are in the budget situation, and I know that all three of those positions received a fairly decent salary increase in 2025. And
They actually had a decrease. Of one of them, there was a change in position, but the salary range decreased.
the range decreased, but it was still an increase to the individual. And my understanding is when the former court administrator departed, that the individuals you listed were going to be assisting and taking on some of those additional duties. That being said, do we have an idea of the cost of the 5% increase?
Absolutely. So, first to go to that, when the vacancy of the court administrator position occurred last year in 2025, our current court administrator was present to start taking those roles. And so that position actually was divided between 4 people for most of that time, with that court administrator actually a position being filled immediately because we had to appoint somebody. But I again don't know which way you would want to look at that for out of class pay, but I ran multiple scenarios. And
I just want to know per month.
yes.
Do you know per month if you did 5% for the 3 positions that you speak of, what that increase would be?
I didn't run a 5%. I didn't know what people might be interested, but I can tell you it's around $7,000 a month, which is actually the amount of the monthly salary of the probation officer, which means I believe this would be a net zero. We wouldn't need any reallocation or new allocation of funds, I should say. I think it would entirely be able to be covered because of these other vacancies. I don't anticipate it would actually impact our budget in any way requiring any additional funds.
I don't have any issue with moving it forward.
Okay, so we'll move it forward to,
And would you like me to put that on at the 5%?
Typically, that's what we do is a
Okay.
5%.
And I didn't have that information, so we will prepare that. We will have those
Yeah.
numbers. We'll make sure we get those and we'll put it forward.
Thank you, Anna.
Appreciate it with Valentine. Thanks for being here, Heather.
Thank you. And if I may, we would be more than happy to do any internship program. We've actually talked about it multiple times. We think there are some real opportunities where we could partner with different programs at the college. We often have projects that we could definitely, and I know we put forward, we need more people. Truly believe that there would be some projects, scanning and things like that would help people get that unique knowledge that's for working in the courts. And notwithstanding, I know I actually was an intern at the prosecutor's office in high school, so I know that there's been a precedent for those programs. It's been quite a while, but I highly encourage, and certainly if there's something like that, we would love to be a part.
Judge Valentine, would you mind sending me an email to that effect? Just
Absolutely.
a little bit of details that you provided,
Yep.
because it's been several months ago, I had a meeting with Carly Schiffner at Grace Harbor College. And one of the requests that came from a previous Board of Health meeting was that it would be great. We have a pretty robust nursing program at the college, and we have a great teaching program at the college, and some other trade programs as well. one that was brought up that would be really helpful to have locally here. And they would have some of the prerequisites that the nursing is a hygienist, dental hygienist program. And so if there was a way to edge in a paralegal or legal assistant or whatever the need is in under that criminal justice umbrella, I'd be happy to make the ask.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
It's great.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Review for the management services, nationwide financial services, governmental 457 plan adoption agreement renewal.
I don't have any issues with deferred comp or deferred comp.
Okay, on to the prosecutors. Review Wallace chief of staff position from the Grace Harbor County Prosecutor's Office.
I don't have any issue with that.
That's
Commissioner.
gonna be part of your position control.
Yeah, it'll be reflected in the revision.
Okay,
So we'll move that forward.
I'll move that forward then.
Thank you for bringing that up, bringing it forward. I think that'll make a big difference. And congratulations on, you've had some staff that was on leave return, and it's always nice to see when people are back and such. So please welcome her back on our behalf.
Sure.
Okay, then, public health, 3 items for discussion. Number 1 is the First Amendment, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Southwest Washington for $74,520.
No questions.
Okay, we'll bring that forward. Second, First Amendment to agreement with the Department of Children, Youth and Families, DCYF, for home visiting services for $223,533.67.
I have no issues with that amendment.
We'll move that forward. And then number 3, authorization to reclassify internship position to a temporary program support assistant position.
Interns moving up.
I have no concerns or questions. Commissioner.
Well, I guess my concern would be if we have internship position, we were just talking about filling them, then why would we eliminate them?
Oh, no.
We're not, we're
This is-
reclassifying one, so we
Yeah.
could still bring in another intern.
Right,
We're-
this is an intern getting promoted.
Oh, okay, so
This
we're not
working.
changing the actual position.
No. This is the person who was a supported employment intern.
We're taking the intern and reclassifying them as a temporary program support assistant.
Okay, so now,
We're missing.
so hold on, work with me here.
Here we
We
go.
have an intern position. Do we already have a temporary program support assistant?
Just extra help.
I think that Wendy had a comment.
Erin from Public Health is online raising her hand. I
Yep.
think she might have an answer.
Okay.
Aaron Schreiber. Morning,
Thank you,
Aaron.
Aaron, go ahead.
Good morning, commissioners. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that this position actually has already been filled. It's no longer an intern. This is just renewing this agreement with the person that is, yes, as Mr. Kim said, it's part of our supported employment program.
But
Nice.
but the department is open to other intern positions.
I believe so, but I will let Mike.
I'm
answer.
sure they are.
Yes.
If we can have someone come in, that would be great.
Yeah.
I would just like clarification whether or not
Mike,
we're removing a
oh, he's
position.
giving a thumbs up. We're
We would
open for-
definitely entertain, Mike McNichol, Public Health. We would definitely entertain more interns should the need arise.
Okay. Good to know.
Thank you.
After our discussion, I didn't want to be eliminating intern
No,
positions. Okay, so we'll move that one forward. Public services. Resolution establishing new water and sewer rates. So. Colin,
Yeah, Kyle's here, but I don't have any questions. I think he's briefed us
Mhm.
individually multiple times, so I say move it forward.
Right, it's the same rates that we discussed in the budget workshop. It's the budget was adopted, presuming these rates are adopted. So it'd be on the February 5th billing effective for January 1 service.
Okay, great. So we'll move those forward. And the sheriff had one agenda item for discussion, authorization to hire vacant RN position in jail medical Grays Harbor County Sheriff's Office due to vacancy 12/31/25.
I don't have any
I don't have any
questions.
problems with
No.
that either.
They need a nurse. We have to have those people attended to.
And it is a grant funded position.
Thank you.
Great, thank you for being here. So we'll move that forward. Okay, so this is our second opportunity for public comment on county items limited to 3 minutes. Type your comment in the chat box or raise your hand to speak.
There's not a comment in the chat.
I think
Maybe there was a thank you or something.
Probably, thank you.
that was Mark's comment.
Oh, okay. For a long time.
If it's still on there, because that would be good to hear.
From Mr. Sigler?
Yeah, he's
Mr.
still on.
Sigler,
Sure. Sure, I'm on.
That'd be great, Mark.
I was just I'd fielded several phone calls and talked to several people in person regarding the letters that went out from the City of Aberdeen's fire chief's office, and met with all the fire marshals in the county last week on Thursday morning, just discussing the issue. The concern that Commissioner Hull had regarding areas in the county that are currently outside of all of our fire districts is something that's been an issue for a long time, not only for fire, but for medical or EMS services as well, because they've contracted with other entities to provide those services in some of the more remotes. Commissioner Raines probably remembers some of the rate issues that had gone on revolving around this issue. But we need, as the fire marshal's office here, I can't lead people to redistricting. That's something that needs to be done either through the clerk of the board or however that fire district wants to expand. And as we continue to grow as a county and communities in these very rural areas, there needs to be a way for these districts to push that issue forward to their tax groups, so that someone needs to be promoting that, so that we don't have these people either being dropped by the insurance right after building a new home in a new subdivision, or having exorbitant rates. Like was discussed, they will show up for EMS. It's kind of like a hospital. They can't refuse that service to anybody. On the fringe of Aberdeen there, fire service has been a long-standing issue. As was described, the city of Aberdeen goes to the end of the Bishop Center, but however, the prison has a contract with Aberdeen to provide fire and EMS service to them. So they could enter into agreements. I think they've got some expanded district coverage for fire on the south side of the highway there, where there's been some small commercial expansion and then a housing development on the hill. I think they're looking at ways to recoup costs when they respond outside of their district, and this letter is the way that they're putting people on notice. But I think it also is serving the fire districts well from, hey, there's a need. We need to look at ways of expanding and providing that protection and coverage to those people. So I don't know if commissioners can talk about redistricting or annexation with districts, but I know that I've been told in the past that our office should not be having those conversations for the legal reasons surrounding tax districts. So
I agree that the district has to come to the county. We cannot go to the districts to try and get them to take a piece of property or to extend their boundaries. But the question I would have, especially for the area that Commissioner Hull has mentioned, is this cannot be something that the South Beach Regional Fire Authority hasn't discussed. And they may not have the manpower, the equipment, et cetera, to extend themselves that far. You have to keep in mind that they also they serve out towards Grayland and even into Pacific County, as well as the city of Westport. And that would be a question that would come to them. It wouldn't be anything from us to be able to cover. And I think that Aberdeen's doing the right thing to notify people. It's just kind of
I think it strikes a little fear in the constituents, right? Because they don't know if their insurance is going to drop them if they get, but I think it's not like there's no way for Aberdeen to even know who their insurance provider is. So it's not like they're sending notification to their insurance provider, but yeah, I mean, they do need to put them on notice, and those people should take notice and look for a solution. And I think that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
It is what they're trying to do. And what I'm trying to do is help them to see what their options are so that each one of them doesn't have to try to figure that all out by themselves. I think we can provide that service.
I believe the only option would be either, correct me if I'm wrong, extending the boundaries of the South Beach Regional Fire Authority, which they would have to, the fire authority would have to extend. The other option, which is far-fetched, would be to create another district. And I don't think that area.
The city could annex the parcels into.
The city of Aberdeen could annex up to a certain point or all the way if they wanted to. But I don't think why haven't they done that?
Those were the three options. I forwarded the letter. Sorry, Commissioner Hole, I didn't realize that hadn't gone out in the email, but I've now forwarded it out in email, the copy of the letter he received. And the three options that the fire department outlined were to contract with the city, and I believe that was one of the other ones. I have to look a little closer, but it is an option. I mean, the fire protection doesn't exist because those parcels are outside the boundary. So the boundary extension from the city or the fire district would be appropriate depending on the desire. And that's just for that neighborhood. This is a countywide. I could name pocket neighborhoods in every single fire district. I'm sure Mark can as well. And I think education is probably the biggest thing that commissioners can do to help assist with this.
And many of them have functioned that way for a long time. It is interesting though that people can go and get a mortgage or get insurance to build a home in one of these areas and then have what you think is your fire protection or EMS protection then withdrawn.
Well, one of the things that I heard recently was someone inherited a property and they couldn't sell the property because of the lack of fire protection coverage.
Yeah.
And that's probably common as well.
Thanks, Mark. I'm sure.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
More to come.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it.
I'm going sorry.
Okay.
Anything else? Public comments coming to our attention.
Well,
Don't think we have any executive or closed sessions today. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
therefore, we're adjourned. Thank you very much.
All right. Mr. Rose, George.